Earlier this year, Mexico-based game developer Lienzo treated us with the multi-platform release Mulaka, a game with indigenous roots that received a warm welcome. Well, they're back! Available right now is an innovative 2D platformer that has been previously released on other platforms and is making its Nintendo Switch debut in a definitive, or as the developer likes to call it, Purrfect Edition. Join me today as I take a look at Huntress Ikki as she tries to save the kingdom of Iroquois from the hands of Morodir in Hunter's Legacy Purrfect Edition exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. Don't forget to hit that like button and let's do this! By now, I trust you know I love myself a good 2D platformer, and right off the bat, Hunter's Legacy is a good game. It is a Metroidvania-style platformer that manages to offer some pretty cool challenges built around a solid gameplay. The player embarks on an adventure as Huntress Ikki and little by little finds out that the world is in need of saving and that you are the one up to the task. The control scheme is fairly straightforward with a basic melee attack, run and jump cycles and a skill for rolling. I do miss the option of wall jumping though, somehow I'm just really into that. Early on you will receive your bow, expanding your offensive skills to long-range attacks. During the course of the game you can buy upgrades for your weapons and increase your maximum health. Some of these upgrades are required in order to reach certain areas of the game which require the player to retrace their steps. None of this, however, is mandatory as the game can be completed without backtracking. For the completionist like me though, it is a must to go and find every little detail, item and power-up the developer has managed to hide away. The game ages like a fine wine. The overall platforming is decent at first and gets better as the game progresses, especially once the dash ability has been acquired, replacing the rolling ability, something I would rather have kept alongside as a different option to move around. Once Ikki can dash, the game becomes so much more fun as the pace quickly increases as you zip across the screen. The camera is a different story altogether though. Every time I get into this game, I have to get used to the sudden, jerky movements the camera controller makes, something I feel should be smoother transitioned. But after a few minutes, it all falls in place and instinct takes over. Towards the end of the game, you will gain the Soul Link ability, allowing the player to take control of the feathered ally of Ikki, making it possible to reach places which were hitherto out of reach. It is an ability that definitely stands out as it mixes up the gameplay and creates a space for fresh ideas. Nice job, guys! I do feel though that this ability is a bit underused and I would have rather liked to see this being incorporated more. The game in classical fashion is separated into 3 parts, requiring the player to traverse forests, climb snow-capped volcanoes and glide along the currents in order to defeat the respective bosses, acquire new abilities and obtain all 3 orbs required to reach the final boss. Although each of these bosses are nicely designed both in terms of aesthetical appeal as well as their attack sequences, the supposed final boss was, however, kind of disappointing, as he was fairly easy to beat, especially in comparison with the regular enemies you face throughout your travels. The real final boss is of a different make altogether though, and took me several attempts to defeat. Each area you visit has a number of checkpoints, which can be used in order to teleport between them, something which becomes quite handy later on to quickly move between your home base of Iroquois Town and other locations on the map. In terms of visual style, I think the developer handled it pretty nicely, with colorful, cartoony, hand-drawn interactive environments and creatively designed enemies. The animations are adequate and Ikki's movements and attacks feel the way they should. The music score is a good choice for this kind of game and makes for a good atmosphere going around in search for the next challenge. It's a relatively small game which will take you about 5 hours or so to complete, with some nice story elements that come to you in a fragmented fashion by means of stone monuments building the backstory of the Hunter's Legacy. I do feel that the story could have been and perhaps should have been fleshed out somewhat more, as the residents of Iroquois Town feel kind of devoid of meaning. Sure, you can interact with them, they will give you a few pointers here and there, and you can buy your upgrades. But other than that, there is little to no life in these characters. There is no character. in sharp contrast to our main protagonist. Flat out, Hunter's Legacy Purrfect Edition is a nice addition to the 2D platforming genre. The action is fast-paced without ever losing track of what is happening on the screen. I am particularly like the dashing ability, really speeding things up, and the levels where you have to move your way up, puzzling through these bubbles and gliders is quite innovative, as well as that Soul Link ability, which really sets this game apart from other games. Let me know in the comment section down below if you're planning on picking this one up. The game retails for just under $7. I think that's quite a steal for a game like this, and the developer has done quite well on the Nintendo Switch. Don't forget to enter that giveaway of the SEGA Genesis controller that I have announced in my previous video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.